Mailing lists are very much like Usenet news groups, but rather than having to go away and actually read the news, what happens is that the articles that are posted to this particular list are sent directly to your electronic mailbox. You tend to find that mailing lists are very much more specific in their subject orientation and appeal to a much narrower band of people.
The news groups seem to me to be a bit on the loony side still, not really serious, but most of the listserv groups, they're pretty interesting.
Listservs are just a technical term that are used to describe the computers that manage mailing lists in terms of managing the subscription and distribution of articles.
So how do you subscribe to a mailing list? Mailing lists all work through electronic mail. Once you've started the program, you want to create a message. First, fill in the address of the computer you're sending the request to. Type subscribe, the name of the list. You may find this particular list useful, and then type your email address. You can enter a subject heading, but sometimes it's not needed, and send the message. The exact commands may differ from one list to the next. You can find a listing and description of all the mailing lists in the Usenet newsgroup news.lists.
Other ways of communicating with people on the net are bulletin boards. There is about 30,000 bulletin boards on the world, and only 10% of them will be on internet. So if you use the ones which are on internet, you will have to use Telnet.
Telnet is another way of accessing a remote site. You can log on to a remote computer and it's as if you're on the site accessing it.
The most common kind of person who comes in is the American student who's got an account on a university in the States someplace. And with Telnet, they can log in as if they were at their university, even though they're 5,000 to 6,000 miles away.
The main advantage of Telnet is that you can access worldwide computers or bulletin boards, but you're only paying for the cost of the call to your local service provider. You do need a piece of Telnet software. We are now going to connect to a site called eNews, which has an electronic newsstand. Once the connection is made, a login prompt will appear. Here we type eNews, but in many cases you would type guest for the login and password. We are now connected to the computer and we are presented with a menu. We want to go to the bottom of the menu to search for some articles about the internet, so we arrow down and press enter. Telnet can sometimes be very slow. Eventually a box appears and we type internet and press enter. After a while, a list of articles appears. We select the fourth one down and an article is displayed. We don't want to read it right now, so we type Q to quit. It then asks if we want the article sent via email. We do, so we type M. The computer then prompts you for an email address. Type the email address, press enter, and the article should be in the email box shortly.
There are some machines you can Telnet to that allow guests. They're called guests. They usually log in as a guest or anonymous. And then there are the other ones which are very account specific and you need an account to be able to log in.
And if you start Telnetting to people's machines and you haven't got an account, they may track you down and ask you why you're doing that, because that kind of people who are trying to crack into systems may well use Telnet to get a user prompt up and then try to hack into their system. So people are a bit wary. If people see you doing that, they'll try and contact you and find out why you've done that.
We've covered searching the World Wide Web. But if you're looking for documents or software, you can use other kinds of searches like Gopher or Archie.
Gopher is, again, it's something that predates the World Wide Web in the sense that it is an indexing of the information that's out there. It's just another way of looking at it.
Another way of searching for the same information.
Here we're going to demonstrate how to use Gopher software to search for a useful manual called the EFF Guide to the Internet. It used to be called the Big Dummies Guide. We want to search Gopher space, so we click on it and it takes us to another menu. With the options on this menu, we can either search for documents on this particular computer at Imperial College, or we can search for documents on computers all round the world using Veronica. We opt for Veronica, and that brings us yet another menu. Here you can see Veronica operates at the 7 sites listed. You have the option to search for titles or directories. There will be many more document titles than computer directories, so directory searches should be faster. We access Sunnet, and the computer asks us for a word or string to search for. Here we enter EFF, and the computer is busy, which happens quite a lot. We'll have another go, and eventually it works. Click on Electronic Frontier Foundation. This takes us to yet another menu showing the directories. Your best bet is to go for the pub or public directory. We are looking for a book, so we'll go into the publications subdirectory. We click on Net Guide, and we can see a couple of text files with .txt extensions. We can simply download the file by clicking on it. When it's finished, it will appear using the Notepad application which is built into Windows. You could have a quick look at it, but it is best to save it and then look at the manual or print it once you're disconnected.
Quite often Gopher's used for information systems. So using Gopher you find a lot more documents about things. Whereas Arch is more aimed at software distribution, so most of the major archives, they have some documentation on them, but a lot of their space is taken up with actual pieces of software. So if you just want to locate a piece of software, your best bet would be to use Archie, type in what you think the file name or some of the characters you think would be in the file name, and see what you get.